Hey there, welcome in to Cutlery Corner Network. So glad you're here. We have a special show lined up for you. I'm Sheila Travis, and we brought in the owner of Winchester Knives, Tim Scott, with us. So, Tim, glad to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
He was swinging through, so we were like, hey, we've got a show lined up for you. And we're going to go through and look at a lot of these made in the USA, Winchester and John Primble knives. You're going to see so many different handle
Quite
choices.
a few different handles: bone,
Yes.
stag, pearl, acrylics, and everything.
Some that's going to date back to the 80s.
It is.
We went digging in the vault. So we're going to start off, though, with Sandbar Stag. This is such a great-looking knife. John Primble, stockman. And, you know, we did a sale on this one. $268.75. I believe it was like $325 originally.
That's nice stag handle. It's like the shield, that tulip shield. It's an older die that we had. I know I've told it before. It was on here, but it needs to be known that shield hadn't been run since 1913, 1914, and we brought it back, and it was only run one time. Utica brought that out on one knife only for a tulip company, a tulip bulb sale company, a flower company, and we brought it back probably 2 years ago on those knives, and that's double pin, top pin with an 042 pin in the top of the bulb, and an 042 pin in the bottom of the bulb. And one thing about the Winchester and John Primble knives, they're all handmade knives. Just like the Bulldogs was years ago, people talked about in the 80s, handmade. These are put together identical like the Bulldog knives was by hand. It makes a big difference.
Well, the Stag is just incredible because I was just telling Tim, nobody has that, but you guys. And, you know, for $268.75, I noticed you also did a very low run of these. We only have 24 of these.
We do a limited run and everything on the Stag mainly because it makes the collector, what we're doing, you got to think of the collector when you're running knives because it's spending a lot of money for something to put back to be valuable and to get reimbursement on their money and the value for the money like you would the stock market.
Right.
And that when you do a low run, it's got the collector in mind. And it just, that's how you get good collectors to buy the products.
Well, and if you're doing handmade knives, he's not going to be doing 500 of these.
No, we're not. We're not.
You know, it's all about quality when it comes to Winchester and John Primble. So this is our John Primble special, genuine Stag, tulip shield. Are you going to be doing any more of those?
It'll be about a year away. We stopped doing them for a while. We're about a year to 2 years, we'll bring them back.
Okay, well, it's incredible. 108246, item number $268.75. So 108246, item number. So this is a little bit of you and a little bit of Michael Prater.
It is.
You guys do great work together. So again,
me and Mike have done a lot of work together, and Mike is good at what he does. We send him the skeletons, and he takes over and work from there. He does a lot of good work on those knives. I mean, he's been doing it for years. He's an artist when it comes to the knives. The file work on the back and the bolsters, it's just unbelievable what he can do with it.
So it makes the collector Winchester even more collectible. Now, Prater, he only did 5 of these. Have you ever seen the brain coral?
I have. It's the first time I've seen it.
So this is pink brain coral. It's new for him too, and then you also have that white and gold matrix. Look at all the hammering, because originally these are smooth.
They are just smooth brass bolsters. All there is. Usually I go to Mike's before I come here and I see what's coming out.
Oh, really?
I didn't make it today.
It
was a dead drop.
That's all right. I know he was pedal to the metal to get here. So, but that's going to have the painted pony stand with it. This is your 5-inch lockback with that very unusual and rare brain coral. It is $485. We just sold one, so there's only 4 left. 116733, item number. Now we're going to go way, way back. But this is an awesome fixed blade. It may be the only fixed blade I think we have on the show.
It's 93, isn't it?
It's 93.
I'll tell a little story. I know we've told it before in here, but it needs because it's been a while. But those knives we had Utica Cutlery make those knives for us.
Yeah.
And we made them and never offered them for sale. They sat on the shelf for 15 years before we even sold the first one or make an advertisement on it.
Really?
And we had 3 different versions. That's the largest version. We had a straight clip. We had a slim line. And then we had this one with the sweep, your big clip blade. But there was 3 versions of it. And like I said, it said 10 to 12 years on the shelf. We never even offered them for sale. But it's carbon steel knife, and they'll shave you. They hold a nice edge.
Yes.
And a lot of my buddies at deer hunt, a lot of them has used those knives. I give it to them for Christmas gifts, and they use them to skin with.
That's a great Christmas gift.
They work.
It does have that gun stock type
It's got
jig.
the discontinued shield. And
Yes, that's a big thing.
It's got the shield that's on that knife. It's got that horse and rider shield, and we can't do that anymore. Winchester don't do that anymore because it's got the skull in front of it, and you can't do it anymore and relate it with a dead animal. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of touch on that.
That's the Pony Express.
Yes.
The Pony Express horses are going through the desert making their trip. They ran across the cattle, was on the cattle drive, and you had a skull in it. That's what that is supposed to be, represent. And Winchester, that was their big thing. The Model 94 rifle and the Winchester rifle won the West. The Winchester rifle, repeating carbine rifle. So that's how you link that all together to make the history of the knife and the guns. And they even made tools, Winchester did. They had hardware stores, had over 6,000 hardware stores at one time back in the 40s before they went out of business.
Really?
On the hardware stores.
Isn't that
anything you
cool?
wanted.
This is why we like having you here, Tim. We learned all this stuff.
They even made baseball bats and roller skates and batteries and flashlights and fishing lines, fishing poles, fishing lures.
Yeah.
But all kinds of things with Winchester. But they got all that and then went into just doing the guns
and the
the ammunition. Yes.
So it also has the leather sheath. We will not be getting more. I wish we could go back to 1993 and make some more of these. But even if you made, even if he attempted to make it today, it wouldn't have that same shield. You guys are allowed to sell the ones that's already made,
When they're
right?
gone, we can sell this. That's it.
Yeah.
But it also has a gun checker
so
stock, like your gun stock has the checkering, like the pistol grip stock is also on those knives as well. And what that's for, if when you're using that knife, it doesn't slip out of your hand. It gives you grip.
Yes.
So everything is a tool. A knife is a tool, whether it's a sheath knife or a Bowie knife or a pocket knife. It's designed for a purpose. And that's why everything is done different ways. Things like that's checkering will keep that in your hand if you don't have a glove on. If you got blood on your hands or it's wet.
Yeah. So here we are, 18, and that's it. It's $150. Item number is 106674. So we're going to push that one to the side, and then we're going to show you another 5-inch lockback. This is a Michael Prater Winchester combination. He is using this new Palmwood, and he only made 5 of these. But it's the first time we saw Palmwood, and he chose to use that on this one and a painted pony. But you also have the gold lip pearl. I really like what he did here with these bolsters.
It makes the brass jump, that Palmwood does, doesn't it?
It's
It looks like
beautiful.
you got a set of gold in your hand the way he's got it down a piece of jewelry. He's got all the file work on the inside of it as well as the back. It's just beautiful work.
Oh, yeah.
And he took the Palmwood and tried to look like a bone the way he's got it going with the
I
green.
know,
It's in
I
there.
saw that. That is really pretty, too.
It is, and he's got the gold lip pearl inlay in there, too.
Maybe the only Winchester.
That's rare that you have a gold lip pearl. I don't know, he inlaid that gold lip pearl in there.
Yes.
That's not your regular white pearl.
And it may be the only painted pony that he makes with that Palmwood Winchester, too. So that's pretty rare.
It is. I've never seen him use the gold lip either.
Oh, really?
I've never, it's the first time
It's
I've
hard
seen
to get. He'll
It
tell
is.
you it's hard
It
to
is.
get. So $487. Again, he made 5. We just sold 1, so we're down to 4.
That's a rare piece.
It's pretty. 116801, item number. So now we're switching up to a Winchester medium-sized trapper. Hold on a second, I want to be careful with that one. So this is a really good one to carry in your pocket. I like the size of this
It
knife.
is.
And it has another Prater custom handle where he's used this green base. There's some shell in there too. It's just unusual. You know, I think he made 20 of these, and that's
a nice
it.
size mini trapper to carry in your
I
pocket.
like
It's
it.
real thin. It's not bulky. You don't feel it. It's good to use. If you want to peel an apple, some people don't do it today, but your older guys do.
Oh yeah. My dad, his pocket knife was the tool he used all day long
I'm
for
lost with that. If I don't have
everything.
one, I'm lost. I use it
Yes.
for everything. Screwdriver. You aren't
Yeah.
supposed to, but I do. I use it for everything.
Auto, been there. But I like this handle, and it's not something you're going to be able to walk into the store and get. The 20 that he made came here, so we have them all. And that is very, very
is.
affordable at $76.50.
Good buy on it knife.
Yeah, I mean, make it your everyday carry. It's durable, it's unique, it looks different. I'm sure everybody's going to.
And another thing, that's a straight 400 stainless. It's got more carbon in it And it will, in extreme conditions, rust, but it does hold an edge because of that straight 400 stainless steel.
That's a nice benefit.
It is.
I like those. So anyway, this one's $76.50. Item number is 116917. Okay, there's a lot to talk about on this one right here. There's a lot to say. This is a 1994. That's a long time ago.
19107.
Where did you even come up with this?
See, that's also your 19, and there was different versions of that knife. In 19107, we used that also for your rifle and your cartridge shield series with the 19107. But also that same pattern was your 1950 banana pattern lockback and your Winchester with the butterfly shield, propeller shield. But it was also your 1927 pattern.
Yeah.
And each one of those, that's 7 behind this one when it had the rifle shield. The 7 meant that was the 7th release in that bone pattern.
Okay.
And if it's got the half effort, the half meant that it was a rifle shield. If it was 19107 and a half, mean that knife was a rifle shield knife, 7th release.
Yeah.
So this one,
Is it
Mike
07?
took the bone and the right cartridge off of it and made it the painted pony, and that
Yeah.
was a 19107 cartridge series knife.
That is so cool. This has Larimar stone, and it's a pretty new stone that Michael Prater's been
He don't
using.
put that on much. Only special on your painted pony
So
stuff.
beautiful. And then it also has the black and silver matrix, and there's also some red on there
And
too.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, all stone, all custom stone. And they're going to be numbered. So here on the back, you'll also have painted pony, and like this one is number 4. So they're all going
Don't you get the signed certificates with the painted pony
You
too,
do.
don't you?
You get the stand, you get the signed certificate, and there's only 3 of those remaining. That's a very special knife, special frame, and then of course Michael just topped it off. But 116213 item number, it is $598. 3 of those left, and that's it. Okay, everyday work knife right here. But now it does also go back to, when did you guys, was it
This
early
one goes
90s?
back to 90s, early 90s, 93, 94.
Yeah.
Yes. And that one too is stainless. We didn't do very many stainless knives. We've done a few of them. That's got a brush finish, and that shield is not glued in. That is a pinned-in shield. When we run those, we couldn't get the molded handles. We had to buy the sheets with the jigging.
Yes.
And that was cut and fit just like you would a bone handle, and the shield's also pinned in just like it did when we had the bone. So it's not a glued in, it's pinned as well as all the rest of the knives would do. That's got a pinned-in shield. And it's got the Winchester oval shield, and I think that might be, what is that, the 24 pattern maybe? Is that correct? I don't know.
21?
21?
Ends with 21?
24 was that next size toothpick up. I got so many sizes of toothpicks, we have 4 different sizes.
I don't see how you keep up with any of this, but
But
yeah.
that was our work line of knives, what we call the work lines, to be able to keep with some of the celluloid handles and plastic handles that Case had, or at the time, Old Timer
Yes.
had, Strayed,
Yes.
and Camillus. Everybody tried to compete with each other and have a line of work knives, but that's when we brought those out.
Yeah. And so that's $94.50, but we only have 11 of these, again, made in the early 90s. I mean, look at how great it's held up. You can carry it and use it if you want.
And
or
one thing you
collect
could
it.
tell, because that wasn't laser, the etch on that thing was actually acid etched.
Yeah.
And when you acid etch, stainless steel turned white and carbon turned black.
Oh.
You use the same etch on it.
Well, now, again, learn something.
That's how you can tell in the doctor's patterns when you see that 82 and
Yes,
that thing, you got
yes.
a white etch on it. That was acid etch with the same acid, but it turned white because it's stainless.
That's so interesting. Okay, we know exactly what you're talking about. We've seen all these
Not too many
knives.
people, they used to use electro etch or air things, but nobody hardly uses the etch anymore. They use lasers. But we still have the laser. We do from time to time. People want a spatial done. We still do the etching, but we also do the lasering as well.
Well, I think that's one of the great things about your knives. You still apply some of that old
We do.
school knife making, and I feel like that's what we're missing in a lot of the knives we see today. You know, that made in the USA, taking the time, giving it that extra effort, and then also, you know, going back to what used to work, you know, the very traditional things too. So this is genuine abalone.
It is.
And Michael Prater has told us how this is just about extinct, getting abalone. This is a nice stockman. It's $328. We have five with that rare tulip shield, which really looks good in that abalone. I'm surprised you're that brave to put that shield on there.
You got to do it just like the knife I done last year was a sample. I done all the pearl and done the pins. It had 17 pins on one side. Well, I pin everything, and I done that when I haven't brought them out in production. I've done it myself, but I done it just to prove a point to somebody so that you can pin them. So I had 17 pins on each side. There was 34 pins to the knife pinned through the pearl.
Oh my goodness. And that's a big deal because when you're dealing with pearl or abalone, you really got to know what you're doing.
There's none of the knife, very few of the knife companies will even put a shield on a pearl knife.
They won't
because
even go
you run
there.
the chance because we put half the shield in and half out, and as soon as that router bit hits that pearl, 9 times out of 10 it's going to crack it. And so we take the chance, but we got a way we can do it, and we do it slower.
Yes.
And we can put it
Just
in, but
take
it
your
takes a
time.
while.
Sometimes you just got to take your time. But that's why a lot of other brands, they skip the shield.
Just like today, I've got 2 of the guys with me. Actually, 2 of the workers with me that does the knife works with me today.
Oh, cool. So 5 guys, there's 5 of those left. So beautiful. $328. You know, Case discontinued their abalone. I mean, they're not doing, no, it was the pearl they discontinued. They're doing very few in the abalone. It's just,
Well, a lot of the people on the last pearl knives, a lot of the knife manufacturers done, they glued it on. They didn't pin it.
Yeah.
They done it like different thing. They pin it in the center and hid the pins and glued the handles on because they didn't want to take the chance of breaking it.
Yeah.
I still pin with an 072, 042 pin. I pin all the handles on. The shields, everything's pinned on, but you can do it.
It's not going anywhere.
It just takes a little while longer to do,
Takes
but it
time.
can be done.
Yes. That's a prize right there. Item number is 115818, item number. Okay, so Tim also brought us these. I love to look at these. And we have, okay, there's 45 of them. Guys, you're going to get one for $38.50. So tell us what's on the table. What are your choices here?
If I can remember right, the lockback is a shotgun, and I think the sleeve bore pattern, a 2-blade knife, is a rifle. And George Smith was the president at the time. My dad, George Smith, and Charlie Dorton, that owned the company, Bluegrass Cutlery.
Yeah.
Michael Smith, which is George's son, and George passed away about 6 months ago. But Michael is the one that done all the artwork on all the hunting scenes and the guns on all these knives. And if you'll see the rabbit scene on that one, that would be the shotgun. There's a shotgun on that one. I think that one's a turkey. And here you got the 100th anniversary Winchester, I think, rolling there.
Yeah.
Then you have the train knife, Winchester knife
Oh,
there.
the getaway.
That is.
Yeah.
And then you have like your deer here, that's your rifle, like your 270 rifle with your deer scene, hunting scene. You got your duck here, I think that might be your 101 Winchester shotgun. So we related it to all the guns.
Yeah, so what they do, you may have the hunting scene on one side,
Right.
and then you'll have the rifle or the shotgun on the other side.
But what's also unique on these were coined.
Yes.
They wasn't molded. They were sent to a plant that done coining, and they stamped those and coined it like you would a 50-cent piece
So
or a
cool.
dollar or anything, and then
Yeah.
we'd bring them back and we would anodize those into a bronze. But that is a nickel-silver side frame, anodized with the bronze anodizing, but it was coined in a coining machine. And your first samples to make it was run out of lead. They'd run a sample out of lead to show what the seam was going to be before they made the coining die. But it's rare how it's done. A lot of people think it's cast because you say cast bronze knives. Actually, they're coined. They actually use a stamp and a press. And that's how they done each one of these knives. They coined them. Each side was done with a coin, and we do a lead sample first. Then we do the artwork, and they approve the artwork and the lead sample before the tooling's actually done.
And so this
That's
was
rare. They're rare. And Utica
Yes.
done those for us.
and that was done in the 80s?
80s and the 90s. You had some that stopped off about 97, 98. It finished on some of those. Most of these are all 87, 88, 89. I think what you got turning here right now.
I feel like at that price, you know, of $38.50.
That's cheap.
I-
And it's
it is.
100% American-made knife.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody bought every single one of them. What a collection.
Now,
that would
Colonial
be.
used to do things like this. But Colonial, when they made these knives, they spun the rivets, they didn't grind the back springs, they didn't finish nothing out. They just spun it and put it together, because Colonial ran a lot of patterns like that years ago. They were USA-made company.
Do you think you'll ever go back and make those? Like, can you
No.
revisit that?
We probably won't, no.
So is this the final
There's
45?
too much-
Or do you still have some tucked away somewhere?
We might have a few here and there, but they're very doubtful. We've still got the tooling for some of those. If we wanted to change the dates, we do still have the tooling. We could do it. But the labor that's involved in that now, the way you got to do it with the manual presses, it's going to it'd be a lot higher than what this is right now.
Oh, it would probably double. I would think it would double in
would.
price. Those are so unique.
Because them had to be fed. When they struck those, they had to hand feed them in with tongs and straps on the machine. An operator actually hand fed those into the tooling to coin them. It wasn't automatic. It was all hand done one at a time.
Wish we had a video of that. Wouldn't that have been so neat to
I've
be able
got
to
a
see?
complete plaque of these, how they run, how they blank the blades, how they done the coining, all on a plaque, and they done sent one to Dad. And it's on like a 24x18 of every stage of those knives when they were done.
So
And then I
neat.
have all the artwork framed with
I
each
just
one
love
of
the
them.
history behind that, and of course the final result is pretty awesome. 115558. That's your item number. 115558. You will get one for $38.50. I buy a handful of those if you can.
If you have someone that collects the guns,
Yes.
you can buy the knife to go with the
Yes.
guns. Because when they first come out, I'd done a lot of the high gun collector shows and done a lot of gun shows. And your people will come and get the knife to match with the gun and give it to the father for Christmas,
Yes.
Father's Day, and they put the gun in the safe and they give them the knife to match the gun. So you got the pair.
115558. Now, we have this Our Choice Prater Trapper. It's a 3.5-inch trapper. So this is that medium-sized trapper. And
Yeah.
these are all Winchester also. And so, I don't know if you didn't get to talk to Prater today, but he has been really busy.
I see a lot of
In
different
the
handles.
Coralon.
Well, I've talked to him
Yes.
on the phone. He says he's making a pour because he's been making a lot of new handles.
He has.
And I was supposed to made it in time and went there first before I come here to see what some of the pours he's
They're
doing.
so beautiful. You know, they're very creative. And it was like he just went back to the drawing board on a lot of these Coralons. You have the white pearl Coralon. This is golden ruby. This passion, it was called purple passion.
He's changed it a little bit, made a different things with
Yes,
it.
I
Mike
think-
is 90% of the time you call down for Mike, he's in the room making
Pouring
pours.
Coralon.
Yes.
There's this purple and gold matrix. You have the man in black, which is that red, white, and black. Blue velvet.
That's pretty
24
much that
karat
gold
gold.
nugget.
You know, he named this one after his peacock. Have you ever met his peacock doodle at his house?
Nuh-uh.
That one's named after Doodle, the peacock Coralon. And there's many more. Of course, if you know Michael Prater, ooh, look at that one.
Pretty.
Very pretty. And then you have that version of Avalanche there too. But you're going to get one, $76.50. This is that medium-sized trapper, which you said is 400 stainless. Is this the same trapper?
It is. Same exact trapper. What's unique about this trapper, though, we only made that trapper with that stainless steel 1 year.
Okay.
And we only run 480 total with the bone handles and everything. That
really?
was it.
Really?
That was it. Because we never offered that for sale either. We brought it in and didn't advertise it. We was busy doing the other things that sat on the shelf
Well,
for
here it
probably
is.
10 to 15 years. And
Now-
then we had red bone handles on it at one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, this gives you a lot of variety.
It does.
With that. But hey, that's a very low run.
And then was brought out in 92.
Okay. So that dates back to 92. Of course, they're brand new, obviously.
is.
And Prater just did those handles like
They're brand new
we
knives.
have.
They still got the original boxes and everything. They look like they're mint. They're brand new
Yes,
knives, never
yes.
been done. But it's just, I just think the way he's doing it, he said, I think I can do something with that. So that's what he's doing. But
Yeah.
we never offered them for sale.
I wondered what the story was behind
It
those.
is.
So now we know, guys.
There wasn't even 500 of them made. We even
Mm.
had the bone handle. So what he's done here, it even limited the bone handle knives even worth more.
Well, and I would also say he probably did about 10 of each of those Coralon handles based on our quantity. So that's even breaking it down to lower. So like that Peacock Coralon, he may have only made 10 of those, you know? And
Yep.
you're going to have one knife that, you know, he only made 10 of. It's kind of crazy.
He's always
There's
calling,
purple
said, you got
passion.
anything rare? You got anything 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces?
I know, we're all the time asking Tim Scott to go to the vault. Go to the vault and dig around. Let us know what you can find. But $76.50, guys, 116916, item number. Back to Stag. And this is on this
I like this
blind
knife. I
back
carried
willow.
one like this for about 2 or 3 years. It's a nice
Mm.
all-around carrying knife. 12-center whittler. I can't remember the number on it, but
Let's see.
we didn't make that many of those.
It's ends with 02. It's made
That's
90.
the 3902 probably because they didn't have
Yes.
it ain't 35, it's 39, isn't it?
3902.
Because when we first started bringing the stags, we didn't put the 5 to distinguish the stag. we left the stag like we done the bone, used the same stamp, because when we started up, we didn't have all them funds when we started, so we used the same stamps, just changed the handles.
Yeah.
Now, on the thing you learn on stag, when we run the stag handle knives, we knew it was close to the end of the line on that pattern. And we run the stag and pearls last, and we'd only run 200, 250 of each one of those that we stopped.
Oh, okay.
And that the pattern was done, we wouldn't run it no more.
And now I only have 10.
Right.
So, but this is another.
That's got the
nice
crest shield too, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has that kind of a badge shield.
Yeah.
When you look at how they do this back, and I want you to explain this because this is all about being handmade and customized.
When you grind that knife, it takes time to grind that because you have to grind that on like a 2-inch wheel or a 3-inch wheel, and you can only go halfway up, and you got to meet the point. Then you have to flip the knife over, and you got to come back again and grind halfway up to carry that point. Same way on the inner side of the knife as well as the back. If you see your point matches from bottom to top, that's the way you have to grind that knife.
Yeah.
And your 1920 Coke bottle pattern, Winchester's done the same way. And whenever you see a point in the center, that has to be ground and meets halfway and then flipped and ground again. But each time that's ground, if you grind with a 120 belt, you have to come back with a 150 or 180. Then you have to hit with a 220. Then you got to hit with a 400 and a 600 to get the scratches out so you can buff it. So that's how many times that knife is handled because the parts are not tumbled in a tumbler. A lot of the companies will tumble the parts and then buff. Every one of ours are ground, just like the blades and the current knives we're making today. They are hand ground with jigs.
Yeah.
Each person will grind those blades. But it goes through the high polish blades, goes through 4 belts on the blades. And then it goes to a buff. Goes through actually 3 buffs.
And I'd be going, okay, what belt was I supposed to use? Which one did you want me to use?
Only thing that helps, we got aggressive buffers. We got 15-inch wide buffing wheels.
I'm glad
it's running about 2,400 RPMs, so it cleans it up pretty good.
I know it might be a little tough to work for you, Tim, because I know you want it done the way you want it, but the finished result is amazing. That's $236. Again, we only have 10. Item number is 104963 for the Stag. Now, we have a Barlow here. The Barlow made a big comeback, and Michael put the Kingsman Turquoise on this one.
Also, so you'll know, this pattern of Barlow will not be made again.
Really?
We're discontinuing that style of Barlow. We're bringing a new Barlow. I didn't have one to bring to the show today, but we're bringing back the old bluegrass Barlow that comes down real skinny at the bottom, like your Russell Barlow, and square it off. We're running those right now. This Barlow won't be run for a while if it's ever run again.
That's interesting.
So this pattern here, we've discontinued it and going back to more to the older style, square like your Russell Barlows and your bluegrass Barlows. That's real thin, and you got your square bolsters and long bolsters in the front, a little bit longer.
Oh, that'll look good.
But we've got probably our first 300's already been blanked to purchase blanked, and when I go back, we're going to put the trademark on, heat treat, then grind.
Wow.
So we'll have some of them in the next couple of months. We're
Nice
also bringing a new mini trapper.
Yeah.
That'll be in Damascus and carbon steel, and the Barlow will be in Damascus and carbon steel.
Okay.
So we'll have different versions of different things what we're doing.
So this is last call on this one.
It is.
And we only have 5. But that Kingsman Turquoise, that's coming out of Arizona. It is one of his custom stone handles that he really uses quite a lot. It's a very pretty, turquoise. This Barlow itself was made in 21.
That handle is a very soft to the touch and look.
It does feel
and
good.
very comfortable look and soft touch.
Feels really good. John Primble is the oldest trademark name in America. I'm sure your dad and your granddad know exactly
1840s.
what John Primble is. And so when did you acquire it?
In 1985, Belknap went bankrupt.
Okay.
And they tore the building down, and they got the healthcare places built there now, but the movie, Demolition Man.
Yeah.
The movie, the building that blew up in that Demolition Man was the old Bluegrass Belknap building in Louisville, Kentucky.
So go watch the movie.
So Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone in that movie, that's where that building was in Louisville, Kentucky, and that's where part of that movie was filmed, right there in Louisville.
So cool.
But we bought it out and we got the Belknap name, the Bluegrass name, John Primble name, and your Bluegrass. We're going to bring back the Bluegrass trademark with the 4-leaf clovers.
Okay.
That's going to be some of the Barlows and some of the. We're making a lot of change up this year, and a lot of new stuff coming. We bought a lot more equipment. We can do a lot more things.
That's cool. That's good to know. So that's only $148. When word gets out that that's basically discontinued. There's no telling what the value of that will end up being if you are a collector. So
And those are carbon steel. If they're not maintained, they will rust. That's
Okay.
high carb, 1095 carbon steel.
keep those blades clean and oiled. So 113244, item number there. Now, this green jig bone goes way back. Look at that.
That is German jig bone, and where that bone come from, Jim Parker acquired that in Germany. And when they had trouble with Case, and Case had trouble at one time in the 90s, I bought a bunch of this bone off of Jim, and that's a German jigging. And Jim bought that and brought it in. It was also on the Parker Edwards knives. It was made in the Parker Edwards plant in Jacksonville, Alabama, as well as the one in the Case and Bradford plant. So it was made in both places.
Yes.
They had it on Damascus knives and had it on carbon steel knives and the Case knives.
Yeah.
And then you had it on Parker Edwards knives as well, that they had the Parker Edwards Damascus knives. That bone was also on those knives. So it's got a lot of history behind it.
Yes.
And I acquired that bone in like 1993.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is that tulip shield, which was also just very low quantity, exclusive
is.
that he did for 1 year. But that particular bone, when I look at that, you know, it just looks different. It looks so rich,
Well,
so traditional.
If you look at the bone and look at your old German Bokers, you see the bone and
See
the
the
same
similarity.
jigging.
Yep. I mean, it's fantastic. Wait till you get this home and actually feel this. Look,
It's got a good soft feel to it.
It is so high quality.
We do a lot of the dyeing too. We didn't dye this bone; it was already dyed. But we dye bone looks just like it. But you got to take the oil. One thing that people need to realize: when you have a bone handle knife or even a stag handle knife, taking care of it, when you stick it in a drawer or you stick it in your gun safe, you oil your blades
Yeah.
and you oil your joints, but they don't oil their handles. And that's why you get stretch cracks around your center pan, because your bone dries out and your stag dries and it shrinks. When it shrinks, you create a crack, and they say, how'd that happen?
Yeah.
You have to oil your knife. That's like Case years ago. They say, oil your joints, oil your blades, and wipe your handles down with your excess oil. That's why they done that, because your bone would absorb that oil and you wouldn't have that stress crack.
Yeah. It's something, guys.
You have to maintain it, because bone will shrink. It's like you've seen houses that's got vinyl siding on them. And you'll drive down the road and some be wavy in the summertime. They cut it in the winter and cut it too long instead of cutting it short where it expands. The bone does the same thing. If you don't cut it right and you don't
Explains
do
a
it,
lot, doesn't it?
it will shrink and will
Yes.
crack. Vinyl expands in the heat and contracts in the cold. That's why you see
And that's the whole thing, guys. This is a natural handle
a
material.
natural handle, just like Stag. People say, oh, I
Just take
love
care
Stag
of it.
handle knives. Everybody loves Stag handle knives, but I'd rather work with anything but Stag. I'd rather do 100 pearl handle knives than do 25 Stag handle knives.
It's rough terrain, I'm
Because
sure.
it's natural. That animal grows, and when you go to cut that out of a round, you're dealing with something that grows natural, and it's like an artist. He's looking at which way do I turn it to make it work, and you have to cut that and thin that and put it down, and when you put the shield in,
Yes.
you have to level
It's a
that
whole
area to
nother-
be able to, it's a whole different animal. Stag is 5 times harder to work than any handle material you can use.
And because they're doing it all by hand, you know, and just like this shield here, this tulip shield, that's hand panned. We're going back to hand panning again. So, you know, these pieces, these parts, they're going
And
to
they're
stay
cut
there
with a machine by
forever.
hand. They're not done with a laser. These are actually done with the old pantograph with pin routers
Yeah.
with a small mill in it, and they're doing it by hand with a pantograph. We take and make a 3-to-1 ratio with our shield dies, and the machinist makes it by hand. It wasn't even made with a laser. We could have, but he made them all by hand, cut them out, filed them out, and took a drill and cut around, and then took hand files and made the pamphlets to cut those shields out.
That's cool. So here's the thing on this knife. It was $238, I believe. Jess can tell me. It was $238. So it's on sale today for $188. But 112197 item number for the green jig bone stockman. Here's another 5-inch lockback, painted pony. I want to talk about this frame itself, because for many years, you guys didn't do the 5-inch lockback. In 2022, you brought it back.
We did. And the first time we'd done is, I think they were in 93, weren't they? The old ones?
Yes, the old ones.
And we only had done 300 of them, and we done them the same way we done the other. We put them on the shelf, and we never advertised them, we never offered to sell them. We had too much going on with the Primble and the other Winchesters.
Yeah.
And at that time, we was also doing Case Classics. In that time frame, from 1990 to 98, we also run the Case Classic knives. So we had the Case Classics, we had Winchester, and we had John Primble. So a lot of
Had
the
a
Winchester
full plate.
knives and some of the Primble knives took hind seat to what we were doing because the Classics took all the production time in the plants.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of it took hind seat in that time frame.
And now we get the benefits of it. And so you brought it back after all those years. And check out what he did here. This is the first time I've seen this type of a bolster. But this is 40 count web turquoise. He also has that green malachite on there too, which is beautiful. And then this black.
Mike's changed an awful lot here lately, hasn't he?
He had, between the Coralons and the custom stone, he is. We're seeing so many new creations from them. But
Mike
again,
does beautiful work. I mean, everything he does
yes.
is different.
And it's just another level for you guys too. Here's the original sheath for that. But you offer your traditional, you know.
And the sheath is American made, it's not imported,
That's
same as the
nice.
knife. Everything we do, all of our sheath are made by the Amish in Pennsylvania. We also do, all the packaging is USA. We
Yeah.
don't even buy the packaging overseas. Everything we use is USA.
Yep.
U.S. labor, packaging, everything.
That's what I'm talking about. 116734 item number for that painted pony. Here's another Stag, but now this one is Winchester. So this tulip shield again, we're seeing.
It's a good example on how
Winchester.
that shield, you see how that shield's sucked down in?
This is what he was just talking
You see
about
it?
with Stag.
It's following the contour of the Stag.
Yes. And could you imagine pinning that by hand, guys, and having to deal with all the ruggedness of deer stag? But I have to say, when it's all done, you got to be proud of that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's such a great knife. And then here's your other side. So Sandbar Stag embargoed many, many years ago. Tim Scott, you were a genius to buy up a batch of that when you did.
What we done, me and my father both, we'd buy the Stag and we'd make the Stag knives. We just put it in a room.
Okay.
Everybody else was running Stag. We didn't run it. We run bone, pearl, all kinds of different things. Cellulose at the time, which we don't run in cellulose all now. But,
Yeah.
And we just stored it back. So when they embargoed the Stag and nobody could get it, we started making Stag handle knives.
Yep, great idea. I mean, no.
But some of the Stag goes back probably 25 years
Yes.
that we got.
But that's why everybody wanted the Sandbar Stag, because it was so durable. It's way more dense than whitetail stag. And then when you
Your
torch
Stag
it,
handle knife is your most collectible knife in the collectible market.
yeah,
Even back when Case come out and they've come out with Stag knives, your hardware store people would lay back every Stag knife they had and they'd use that for a retirement bank. And that's why when every hardware store went out of business, people went to try to get there to go to the auction, they would have shelves of Stag handle knives
yeah,
from the time they was in business. Because the Stag would sell when nothing else sold, and what they would do would pull 3 to 4 knives out of their inventory every time they changed it each year. So they had 3 to 4 knives of every year in a Stag handle knife of all the patterns, your Spruce Scroll series, your Red
Yeah.
series, and your
Yes.
hunting knives. They would pull in complete sets, and that's why your Stag was more sought after. And that's how the good knives now you see hitting the market in Case.
yeah,
Those hardware stores that went out of business in the last 5 to 10 years. And Grandpa had it, Dad had it, now his sons had it, now they're selling the collection
yes.
to raise money.
And you're probably looking at $500-600. So here's what Tim has going on. This is Winchester. We're back to made in the USA. That Sandbar Stag, that Case can't even make a knife like that in today's world. With that Stag, they don't have it. Nobody has it but you. You've got it all hoarded up back at your place. But that is only $287.73, and I will tell you guys, it was $328.
We hand fitted. Every knife is
Yeah.
hand fitted. You can lay 10 knives down on the table, and none of the 10 knives will be identical. You'll find some different with all 10 of them because they're
Yeah.
all done by hand. They're different.
But that's what makes it unique. That's what
It
makes
is.
it so special that you're doing and nobody else is doing. So 112442 item number, that special tulip shield, very, very low run of those ever made. We only have 23 today. So 112442 on that one. Now, we saw some of these. This knife was not in that mix of knives that we saw earlier on the
Is that Mark
turntable.
Martin?
This
Or
is
the Thunderbird.
It is the Mark
There's a
Martin.
story behind the Mark.
I wanna hear it.
Rouse Racing. Jack
Okay.
Rouse graduated from my hometown school. He started out racing go-karts
No
and
way.
racing fountains. He's
No
from my
way.
hometown. So Mark Martin, when he was doing it, we had meetings with Jack, and Jack went to the track in NASCAR and got the authorization to get these made. We also made the 40th anniversary Thunderbird knife too.
Okay.
And so when they was doing it, we had all these made, and the 3901 Winchester cartridge series, that what really triggered this, Dad give him one.
Oh, okay.
So when Mark won, every time Mark would win a race, Jack would hold that knife up and say, "This is from my hometown." And the 39101 cartridge knife whittler was the very first cartridge knife we made. See, it's got the one after it. So that's what made this happen. Jack said, "I can sell these at the track sales. What do we got to do to make those?" So we had to get them authorized by NASCAR. And if it had Winchester and NASCAR, we had to be authorized by both companies to do that. And the royalties had to be paid to both companies. But these, we sold direct to Jack, and Jack paid all the royalties. We didn't have to.
How fun. How fun. So, I mean, we would never know this unless you came by here today.
And Jack's brother graduated with my dad and mom.
Okay. Wow. It's a small, small world.
Yeah.
We only have 13 of these, but racing is still such a big thing today. But this was made in '96, and for the dads and the granddads, again, awesome gift item. So this will not obviously be made again.
No.
Do you have any more of these?
This is it.
Any. Guys, this is it.
I wouldn't have had those if my
these.
dad hadn't pulled 12 up for himself when he had a store and he was selling in the store and he had the 12. I let Terry have the 12 knives or 14, whatever it was.
Yeah. That's such a special find. I love that. And it's only $64.50. No telling what that'll be worth.
See, a lot of these knives,
the road.
when Dad, George, and Charlie and all of them was in there, Dad would buy 12 knives of everything they had through S&D, and we had 2 retail stores. He'd put them in the retail store. So when he shut the store up, he just put the knives back.
And then we were able to
A lot of them, yes. But that's how he got them, because he'd bought it through S&D Enterprises.
Okay. So we're looking at this Barlow again. So this frame is discontinued now.
Yes, it will be.
Here's the thing about this one, though.
We got a few
really
parts
different.
left we're finishing right now, but in the future it's...
Wrapping up.
Right.
This is genuine Mammoth molar, and it's also been dyed green. That's where you're seeing the green come through there. This was a Santa Fe custom handle also. It was the first time Winchester and Santa Fe kind of partnered up. But when you look at where Mammoth is today, because now this knife was made in 2022, getting genuine Mammoth molar is not happening right now. It's not happening because a lot of it comes out of Russia. You'll find it on the riverbanks in Siberia, things like that. So
This always reminded me of moss.
Moss green. I mean, it's really pretty.
Yeah.
But and you think about Mammoth molar, that's actually a really big section of that. And of course it is on both sides. But that's your two-blade Barlow. It is really pretty. Those will never be made again. I'll just go ahead and tell you right now, that will never be made again. And I know they did a couple of different colors, but that one's $210, which I think is a giveaway for that. Mammoth molar, thousands of years old. It's crazy. 111806, item number. Now, the Sunfish.
29110. Is that what it is?
It is 29110. Yes, it is.
Cartridge knife again.
Yeah. And so Michael Prater, he did all of this. You know, when Michael gets to working on these knives too, I'm always fascinated how he'll have all these different...
oyster in here too, don't he?
It is really pretty, yes. That light pink spiny. You have chrysocolla, this black and silver matrix, but then he does all the customization. He left the bolsters on this one, I think, simplified because the handle is kind of
plain and simple.
But they really put a lot of thought in it, like you do when you make your custom knives. I think they really think it through, what the best look would be for, you know, the handles and the bolsters and all of that. But $498, $2,000 retail value, 116212 for the big Winchester Sunfish. And that's the only Sunfish I think I had on the show today.
We had 3 of them Sunfish, and that's the biggest, the largest one. We got the 10, the 20.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right, 10, 12, and 20.
Yep.
20 is a small one.
So that is the big guy right there.
Right.
116212, item number there. We're going to talk about this turntable. And we sell a ton of these, Tim. Well, it's no surprise at that price. But this is what we call the Winchester whatever. And, you know, you'll send Terry some singles, just some random knives sometimes. Or when we sell down and we only have like 1 or 2
You
left.
got a lot of rare knives on there.
We do have a lot of rare knives. And the price is, what were these, Jess? $238? Okay, it's $174. You're going to get one. Look at all of these choices. I'll give you that item number. Item number is 106970.
That burnt orange and that series will never run again either. The rifle or the cartridge either, no.
Look at that Winchester rifle. I can't imagine.
That is the only shield that we had to glue in because we couldn't pin it because the thing, it is glued in.
It is massive.
But that's a representation of the Model 94 rifle.
And then the red jig bone, wasn't it like there were only 6 frames ever made with
There
the
was.
red? Okay, earlier, guys, we were talking about that 2-blade doctor knife and the etch on that one.
You
There
see
it
the
is.
white edge?
Yes.
A doctor's pattern, a lot of people don't understand the doctor's pattern. It is definitely a doctor's tool back when he carried it in his bag.
Yeah.
If you'll notice how it squared off on the back end when it comes around, that is what he used to crush the pills with. Then he's got your flat spatula blade that's on there that he used to scrape the pills off, or he'd use it for a tongue suppressant.
Oh, yeah.
But if you notice down at the bottom of that spatula, you'll see a half moon circle at the bottom of that tang. That's how he split the pills in two. That was your pill cutter.
Oh.
So you had your
You
spatula.
can still use that today.
That's
That
what
would be
it is, a pill cutter.
tool.
That half moon was to put over the pill and crush the pill in half.
Yeah. So some of those, I noticed 4
Every
blades.
knife, like your 4-blade
Look
knife.
at that stock.
That 4-blade knife they call a tobacco knife. A lot of people
Yeah.
used to cut a plug of tobacco with, or Kentucky they used to top tobacco with. But it's also made for a carpenter. You got the pin blade and your coping blade that when he cut the miter and your baseboard or your trim at a 45, you could take that blade and cut it out to where right up over top it to cope it out. So a carpenter also used a 4-blade.
Yeah.
They got a smaller version. But that mainly,
There's
a
a
4-blade
5-blade.
a 4-blade knife is mainly used in Kentucky, and that's why they say it sells good in Kentucky, because they used, it was a tobacco state. They used to top tobacco with or cut a plug of tobacco with.
I always heard that about Kentucky, the Congress, the Kentucky Congress, that they were like,
You
yeah,
got
that's
your
the number one
4-blade
seller.
sow belly that's in there.
Look at
That's a
that.
good pattern. Your 2-blade moose there. A lot of people
Huge.
call it the cattle knife, but I still call it a moose. But you got your 5-blade sow belly. That's a difficult knife to make. A 5-blade. When you close it, them blades have to kiss off each other real light. You have to adjust every tang on that knife before you put it together, or it won't close.
Thanks. And so also, I know the doctor knife was in 03, but the other knives that you were looking at, what are some of the dates that we're going to get there?
You got 93, 94, 95, 96, and 97.
Okay.
97 is the last one. Your 19 pattern was the last one that was in that series, and then we quit for a while and went back to your reverse gun stock was your last one, but your 19 is one that's about their 3rd release and being the end of the cartridge series. So I think your 19 is around somewhere around probably 98, 97.
Yes. I like the cartridge
That's your 19
shield,
pattern there.
but I really like that Winchester rifle shield because that to me just
It distinguishes the Winchester
it
name.
all. Yes.
It identifies it with the Winchester brand. Like that 270, see that's a 270 cartridge shell
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And when you come around with your red one on the 19 pattern, that is a 270 head stamp.
Yes.
And we copied those. When we had those things made, Winchester sent us empty casings in. And we
Oh,
would send those
cool.
people to have it done. That head stamp was
They go by
is
that.
copied. And that too is stamped with a stamp in that metal.
Yeah.
The same as the coining is.
And I noticed you got a 30-32 and some
Right.
others. But guys, you're going to get one.
And we got a 22 Hornet. We never run many of them. 22
Ooh,
Hornet.
So we'll look for
The
that.
22 Hornet was a rare thing. We run in a 270, we're running a 30-30, and we run the shield in a 22 Hornet, and then we're running in that small mini trapper.
We'll look for those. And you guys can see the boxes too. So you're going to get that original gift box for all of these. But it's $174. You're going to get one unless you order more than one. And if you do that, then of course we'll mix them up. But it's called the Winchester whatever. Item number is 106970.
I'm 100.
Yep. And then so here, I love talking about these. I know. This is special right here, this collection. It is the black bark pocket knives, and we also have these on sale. So you're going to get one for $180. There's only 15 of these left. You're looking at
All these knives was running a time frame between 95. No, I'm telling you wrong. 80s. These were all 80s. These are between 80, probably 86, 87, 88. You have the moose pattern again, like we got just right there, 13.5 patterns coming around there. That's your moose.
Yes.
With your propeller shield. Your 1927 with your propeller shield. That's with your peach seed bone. That's some of your original bone that was found in the well. Now you got your 13. We've brought that one back. We're running that pattern again.
Oh,
we're
good.
running in
Good.
Damascus, and we're also running it in the carbon
Okay.
steel.
So if you are just watching us for the very first time today, I want you to hear the history.
Your 1936
Behind this.
trapper with your saber round blade. That's a difficult way to grind a blade. You have to grind that top and bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You do a hollow grind on the bottom, and you turn over and do a hollow grind on the top, and they call it a saber grind, like your 1920 is. You see how it's saber ground at the top?
Yes.
Now you got a flat grind on these two blades on your moose pattern, on that 13 pattern.
Okay.
Flat grind on the next one, but you'll see different grinds on these blades.
Mm-hmm.
Now this blade coming around right here is a saber ground toothpick. Do you see how you got your hollow grind at the bottom?
Yes.
And you have your grinds at the top.
And that's a huge toothpick, guys. That's like a 5-inch toothpick.
It
That's
is.
not a
That's
3-inch.
a 36 pattern,
Yeah.
and that's got the old Rogers jig bone on it off the Rogers jigging machine that we brought out.
So this bone handle, just so you guys know, it's over 100 years old.
Man, that's some rare knives he's got there. I don't know where Terry come up with these, but he got some rare ones.
There's only 15. And for that knife collector, this is a dream come true.
Terry likes to hoard, don't he?
He does. I like to, when you pick this knife up, you will instantly feel the difference in that handle. It's just different.
It's got a soft feel to it.
It does.
And that bone was dry, and you have to soak the bone. We have to soak that bone in oil for a long time before we can use it, because if you don't, it will crack.
Yes.
And it's like anything, like I told you, when you maintain your knife, you have to maintain it and keep the oil to keep that bone from shrinking and cracking. But
that is. I
bone
think
is easy to work.
Vintage find of the day right there, guys,
Yes.
and on sale. So that's $180. You're going to get one. Again, we only have 15, and that's it. That is it. Those will be gone forever. Item number is 109213. So when you first started making this 5-inch lockback again with the brass bolsters in 2022, this is one of the first that we saw. You did a couple in the bone. I know you did a green and this brown. Seems like there was one more. And there was a stag.
There was a stag, and we had like a lime green or a John Deere green style bone. That was only 3 versions we done, 2 bones and a stag.
And so that was a first production. This is actually the first production run of those. And let's just see the back of the blade right there. 1 of 100, first production run. But we only have 14 of these left. I like this shield. This hourglass shield looks really good with those too.
It does. Positioned right now. Then that knife has a soft feel to it too. It feels good in your hand to use.
Yeah.
And a lot of you got to have when I want to use a knife, it's got to feel good in my hand, or I can't use it.
I know you carry them too. He carries them for years, and then he's like, "Okay, we can make it now."
Well,
okay. I want to see what you're carrying today.
One of the new patterns I was telling you about a while ago. But it looks bad. It looks bad though. It's dirty.
That's okay. So you carry it, you use it, and then you.
I carry it to make sure that this is a new 13 pattern in the moose we're running in the stag.
Okay. So look, he's putting it to test. He's going to carry it forever.
My dresser's full of knives. I'll carry a knife probably 2 to 3 months before I actually make it to make sure it's going to work and it holds up right.
That is awesome.
We also make that in Damascus too.
Okay. So that's something we're going to see. I think that'll be very successful.
I'm ashamed of this.
Well, that's okay. You got to have a tool. You got to have your knife.
I use it every day. But I use what I make, and if I'm not satisfied with it, I don't make it. It's got to be able to work. It's got to stand the pressure. I'll pry with it. I'll even take a hammer and hit the back of the blades and cut something with it to see what it's going to do, because if I got the Rockwell too hard, the blade will chip. And if it's going to chip on me, that means it'll either chip or snap on my customer, and I got returns. I don't want returns. It's got to be right to be used, and I'll put it through an extreme field test, because if it's not going to work right, I'm not going to sell it.
Well, you just saw that knife. It's been put to the extreme.
It is.
Yeah. This one's $228. 114678.
You haven't seen that one yet, have you?
No, I haven't. So this is another one of those medium-sized trappers. It's a good one to carry. And Michael Prater did what we call like an end of the day with Turquoise. And he's got all kinds of choices of turquoise, actually. There's a 40-count web. There's Kingman in here, Sleeping Beauty. He just went through the mix. And so he'll take that turquoise, he'll put it through a chipper. You come up with all these different shapes and sizes. He'll put it in a Coralon base, and then he creates, a new custom handle. So that one's new.
He don't throw anything away.
Well, that's awesome. I like that.
It is.
You
That's
know.
what makes it unique.
Why would you
Even
if
your
you got
older knife
turquoise
factories,
around?
they didn't either. A lot of your cutlers in the old knife plants
Yeah.
would put oddball knives together, and that's how you got collections started, because they go to their supervisors and say, look what I've done. They'd sit on break and put things together, oddball parts, and then they would give them, like they say, well, they went to the custom shop. Well, the custom shop in those days was people sitting on break and peddling with parts, extra parts they had, putting a knife together, and they'd say, look here, what we've got.
Yeah, that is neat. That's kind of what that is. But it's $94.50, guys. That is that 400 stainless 116639 item number. And I think, is this the last one? Okay, so this is not the largest Sunfish. Is this the medium or the small? It's 4 inches?
That's the medium.
So this is that medium.
That's the
which
12, I think.
normally would be the cartridge, right? Yeah.
It would. Is that the 12 or the 20?
20.
That's the small one. That's the small one.
So this was made in 98. The frame was made in 98. That's why Tim's having to really rack his brain here to go back to the date on that. But Michael Prater did what he calls this Jasper stone. It is a painted pony Jasper stone. And it's one of my favorite stones that he works with.
It's pretty.
Because to me, it looks very country western.
It always also remember. You know the candy that used to have at Christmas time had the red and white in it. That's what it always. That's what I told myself. What you done? Make it Christmas candy.
Yeah, but you know it's heavy. That stone, you can carry it if you want. It's just good quality. I just always like the look of a Sunfish, because you do get a lot of that custom handle. You know. That's just $198.
A lot of people collect the Sunfish, but the Sunfish is also known as a rope knife. It was designed to cut rope with. You could take a hammer and hit the back spring, and you got a spline back, you got a catch bit in that thing, because your back blade's narrow to make that match up to that wide, extra wide spring. Yeah. And why they're so hard to open, you have almost a 1/4 inch back spring in those knives, because they use them to cut rope with.
So like cowboys and things like that?
Well, it's mainly for boats.
Oh, for boats.
People on boats, ships, whatever, when they use the ropes a lot.
Ranchers.
And they say they're hard to open. That's why that knife has a double pull. If you're leveraged, the further you got on the blade, it's easy to open. That's why you have a double pull. You go to the front.
So it's right there.
And you open from the front. If you're strong enough, you can go from the center pull. That front pull is where it's easier to open.
I see. It's stout. There's only 2 of these. So again, going all the way back to 1998. He won't make any more of these. I don't even know if you even have any more of that frame for him to work with. But
I don't.
So, nope. Okay, so it's $198. Rare. There you go. Rare Winchester Pony Jasper. Two of those left to sell. Item number is 106384. And then that is where we're going to stop today, Tim. But, man, it's always so fun to have you here. I can't believe all this information is in your mind. But it is
pleasure
fascinating.
being here. I always enjoy it, and always enjoy stopping and seeing everybody and talking to the customers, because that's who makes the wheels go.
Yes.
Your collectors and the youth coming up always makes everything move. And we thank you, and the veterans, I appreciate your service, and thank you for what you've done for us.
Oh, absolutely. And so you can always, there's more Winchester knives. We just don't have time, to cover it all. But you can go to our website, cutlerycorner.net. You can see every Winchester knife that we have in-house on our website. Or also we have that app out there too, so you can get that app and put it on your phone. That's always easy and convenient. But hey, anytime you want to stop by, you're so welcome.
I appreciate it. I always enjoy it.
Yes, we learn so much, but it is fascinating to hear the backstory on your knives and the history behind it, because I know you and your dad have been at this for a long time.
And history goes along with the knives. I mean, it just in the collecting. When you got the youth, you got people that maybe just starting collecting, but they got the history with it. They got the pedigree, how it started, what's going on, so it makes a difference.
We got to see a lot of history today. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, find us on our website, cutlerycorner.net, if you want to look at some more of these Winchester knives. We'll see you soon.
Take care, folks. Thank you.